Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of RC Podcast. For today's episode, I have a very awesome guest, Margaret Corlett. So, quick little thing about Claire. Claire and I started off working together at residence at UBC, where we were both host presidents. And she is one of the most hardworking people I've ever met, one of the funniest persons I've ever met, and just all in all, a good person. So, Claire, why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, that was so nice. I'm gonna cry. I'm such a baby. Anyway, just kidding. Babies don't wear backwards hats. Or maybe they do. I haven't seen one yet. Anyway,
you can change that when you have a baby.
I can change that, and I will change that. All 70 of my children will be wearing backwards hats. Yeah, that was that was a nice introduction. What else to say about myself? Well. I am an actor. I dropped out of school. So Ryan and I met at university, and then I left, and I couldn't take it anymore.
It's all because of me. She
it's
couldn't stand
Ryan.
me.
Exactly. Yeah, we met a while ago. Ryan and I have a lot of opposing views on a lot of different topics. So he wanted to bring me on this podcast so that I could roast him. I'm pretty sure that's why you did, right? I
don't know, but okay.
I listened to the first episode. I thought it was great. And then I begged him to come on.
Yes, if you look at the text messages, she definitely initiated it. It wasn't me at all.
Yeah, you can see them. They're posted online.
Yeah.
For the public. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here. I don't know what else to say about myself. I guess we'll find out throughout the hour what I have to say.
Yeah, and I love that you are on this. The first thing I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is the fact that you are a university dropout and are currently living in California, left Vancouver, and are living down in the States trying to pursue your career. I kind of want to talk about that because I think there's a lot of people in today's society who, out of high school, they see college and university as the be all or end all, right? Where like if they don't get into a school, then their life isn't going to have any meaning. They're not going to go anywhere. And that's just not really true. University and college isn't for everyone. And I think you're just a great example of it. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about how you came to that decision and everything?
Sure. Okay. It was a difficult decision because let's go back. So I went to a private school, #privileged. I went to private school in Vancouver, and I went to that school for all of my schooling life. Minus a couple months, I went and tried another school out that was very artsy and it didn't work. And it was a public school and I really didn't like it. So I came back and then I started paying for my own education because I was working as a kid. I'm working now as a voice actress.
And what shows were you working on as a voice actress?
No! I was working on a show called My Little Pony, which since has ended recently. RIP MLP FIM. And you might be thinking, that's a show for little girls. You know what? There's actually a documentary online that I created at 14. Not too shabby if I can say myself. But it's called Brownies and Ponies, A Journey Through Equestria. So if you search that up on the interwebs, you can find it out and you can find a little bit more about that. So I'm not going to explain what that whole world is. But anyway, the point is I made money from it, not just on the show, but also traveling. And I got to go to conventions around mostly America, which was really cool. I also went to one in Germany, which was very fun. And recently in Amsterdam. And I do vlogs and stuff on my YouTube channel and stuff about all that fun stuff. But anyway, so I was flashback to high school, where I was working on a couple of cartoons and other shows. And I knew that I wanted to do that for like my career in my life. So I was like, okay, I'm going to keep doing that, and making money and stuff. And I'm also going to go to finish, high school. And by the time I got to the last couple years of high school, I started thinking to myself, I really don't want to go to university. Now, this was unfortunate because I went to a university prep school and I loved my school and I still do. In fact, I'm a part of the alumni association of my high school and I'm not doing a great job right now because I'm kind of backed away from the leadership position, but I'm still on the council just like organize events and like let people know what's happening. But anyway, so I was really involved in my high school. Like I was part of like all the clubs, all everything, and I loved it dearly. But I also really kind of thought to myself when I was like, I really don't want to go to university. Like I just don't want to. And I was like, why would I do that when I have a career that's already pretty good and I can continue with that? And if I focus my time and energy on that, I feel like that'll be quicker for me to be able to get into the industry. So what a lot of people do is, okay, I want to be an actor or I want to do something creative in that industry, writer, director, producer, props manager, or like whatever. And they're like, I need the training. And for the most part, that is true. You need the training. Like if you want to be a on-set light technician, or I don't know the fancy jargon for that, but like if you want to do that, you know, you have to learn how lights work. And I have a pretty basic and good understanding just from being on film sets and stuff as an actor, how that all works. So I had a pretty good experience already that didn't really make me think of, well, the teachers were like, what acting school do you want to go to like help me like figure out what I wanted to do? I was like, I really don't want to do that. I want to, like, school is school. Maybe I can learn something about psychology I was kind of interested in. Maybe I can learn, I got convinced for a while that I was going to do maybe communications, because my mom thought that was a good idea, but I knew nothing of what communications was. And then I searched it up, and actually I brought it up to my university like prep counselor man, and he was like, so communications, you'd be learning this and you'd be taking these classes. And I was like, ew, that is not what I thought communications was. No, thank you. And so I wasn't really keen on like going to university in the first place. But then, because I was in Vancouver and because I was a little bit pressured by my school to apply, I got away with a bare minimum, which you were supposed to apply to a goal school, a reach school, and then a something in between school. I don't really remember, but there's like 3 levels of schools you apply to. So like for me, I'd apply to like, you know, Harvard, something that I really want to go to. Like if I was like going to do law or something, like it was supposed to be your school that you really want to go to, but like you probably won't get in because you don't have super, super high grades. Or there's just like an overwhelming amount of people that apply anyway. And then the middle school is supposed to be like, it's a reach for you. Oh, that's what it is. It's a reach for you, but like you could get in, but you also couldn't get in. So to be safe, you apply to another school that you know you'll be able to get into. So for me, that was UBC, and I literally only had that. And then I got in the mail, like after all of this, that I got accepted to UBC, and I was like, oh, cool. And like my mom was like super psyched, and she was like, yay, you're gonna like go to university. And I was like, yeah, it's gonna be fun. I don't really know what I'm gonna do though. Like I was still confused because I knew what I wanted to do in my career and like my life kind of area. But then the schooling I was still confused on because I was like, why do I need to go to school to do stuff that that is supposed to get you to where I already actually have access to? So I was still confused about all of that. But ultimately I decided to go to UBC, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on like trying to become an adult and like going through that life and maybe like joining in on stuff. And that's how I met Ryan. So with all of the like, the university politics and stuff I found really interesting. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm a natural leader. What's up? I want to create cool events, cool music, cool videos. I'm like, I'll use my talents to like, you know, make people have a fun first year experience. Cause my first year experience was pretty fun. And I was like, I want people to have it, but I want it even better. And so I applied to be a house president, and then I got the house president position because I did a cool rap video. I'm just going to say that's why I got it.
It was a really good rap video. I'm not going to lie. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Anyway, I was talking for a long time. It's really not a quick summary. Probably TMI, but I just felt like I was still confused even when I was at university. So after those 2 years where I was like, okay, I could get guaranteed. Oh, during all of this, the unspoken thing is the fact that I really want to move to Los Angeles because that's where it's at for the career that I want to go into. So I was like, okay, well, I know that I want to go to LA. I could have gone to New York, could have gone to LA, but my dad had already moved to LA and he started doing voiceover because he's a voiceover actor too. And he started doing that in California. And so it was a very easy move. Like I had a family that was there now, and we're Canadian, but we all have like family green cards. So I was also waiting on that in my first year. And I was like, what am I going to do next year? Oh, crap. And then I was like, oh, I can get residency, which is great because I can stay on campus. So that's good. And I'll just take a couple more classes that I find interesting and fun. I really did not take any classes that I had to take. I emailed teachers in like 300, 400 level classes. And I was like, yo guys, can you invite me into your musical theater class? I'm not pursuing this as a major, and I'm just really interested in it. And I think it'll be fun. And that was great because a lot of the classes I was interested in had a lot of like artsy teachers, and they were like, oh my gosh, come on in kind of attitude. So I was like, great. So I really just took classes that I wanted to learn stuff from. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with all of this. Please cut me off, Ryan. This is not
Why am I
okay.
cutting off? You're getting to the good part where you kind of just came to a realization. What am I doing
I came to
here?
realize it was easy for me to move to LA after my second year, or like during my second year. I was like, oh my gosh, I can definitely move to LA after this year. So I'm going to do that. And then I was like, my next step though, my parents really wanted me to go to another university in LA. And I was like, excuse me, I am paying for my university combined with a little bit of money from my grandma, but I am paying basically for my education. And I was kind of ticked because, I mean, my brother was getting paid for his university, and I didn't really bring that up to my parents because I felt like that just didn't really, like, it's a different case scenario. But I did feel a little bit jealous because I was like, well, if you really want me to go to university so bad, why don't you make me? Because I was like, I'm not going to do it. Like, I liked the social aspect, and it was really fun to like be on your own, but like still with this like safety net. But then I also was like, I don't want to go to my classes unless it's like I'm learning like dance choreography, honestly, and like, or watching like a movie and like frame by frame analyzing like why it did so well and stuff. Like, and just like, I don't know. I was just interested in that kind of stuff, and I felt like I was being pushed to the more educational side, which I like education, and I like teaching things to people, but I don't like the environment that it is. And I don't say that to everyone because I don't want people to think, oh, she's cool, she can get away with it, she's fine, which I'm not really, but like, she's fine. Like, I can be fine too. See, I don't need to go to university. I'll just become an artist and I'll blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, it wasn't that easy for me to just do that. I still went because I wanted the experience. And I think I learned a lot of things like after the fact coming from university. So I'm happy that I went. I don't like regret going to university. I regret some of my decisions, but I don't regret going to university. And I feel like it set me off into a better state of mind having those experiences and like being on my own, and meeting people from all walks of life, and kind of, I feel like that is the most beneficial, what I can take with me to the career that I want to go in. So I don't recommend people, and I don't talk about like, I do say I'm a dropout because I think it's funny, but I don't like recommend dropping out to people. It's not really about the fact that it's dropping out, and it's not like, oh, well, she's well off, she has money, she can do whatever. I'm like, money is very precious, and I don't have a lot of it, and I used a lot of it now that I'm on my own, like really trying to like be an adult and like pay for phone bills and pay for all these things like on my own. I've discovered through that like it's not, making rash decisions is not super beneficial. So don't just think that like I didn't think about this or anything and like dropping out's cool. Like, I don't want anyone to think that. You have to really know why you're dropping out and what your backup plan for that is. So I also took, while I applied to LA universities, like I applied to UCLA and I applied to USC, I didn't really want to get in. And I put effort into the UCLA one, and the USC one, not so much because I didn't really want to go to that school. Like, if I got accepted, I just didn't really like it that much. But again, I did feel a little bit pressured by my parents to do that, and I've told them that before, and they don't really hear that all too well. But because they think that we had like this thing where it's like, if I lived with them, I'd have to be going to school. And that was kind of like our deal. I guess I interpreted that as not super solid like of a plan, and they've kind of like brought that up to me later when I like started like slacking off or whatever. And like, anyway, I don't want to talk about it, but anyway, the point is, dropping out is not something that you just do for fun, to look cool, to pursue your dreams. Like, that's not really what it's about. You have to know why you're going to do it, and you have to have a backup plan. And by backup plan, I don't mean like a school backup plan, but it's like, are you going to be working? How are you going to make money? How are you going to live on your own? How are you going to do these things? And I picked up an ice cream job for a little while, and then I started getting some voiceover work and like establishing myself a little more so I could not do the ice cream job. And I loved it, but I also like didn't love it, but I liked it. So I stopped doing that, and then I started getting enough voiceover work. Now, because of hashtag COVID-19, why did I hashtag? Anyway, it's not like, nothing is really like working out too well for anyone, especially people that are like just trying to like get into the industry, especially in LA. And so I was just kind of like, whoa, this is like putting a halt to everything. So I decided to like come on down to Arizona and kind of like use this time to not only reflect on just me as a person, but like, where do I want to go next? How can I make myself motivated to keep doing things that are going to be beneficial to my career while still doing things that are fun that also kind of benefit my career? And that's why I made an EP too, because it's like, that is always a good thing to have on your roster. I like singing, not necessarily that good on it. I think it's fun. I definitely want to do another one, but I want to make more songs that are like actual like comedy. And like the EP that I did was like kind of like a sassy version of just pop, and it was fun. But I like, as I was kind of like getting the production side done and like getting all these people like to like produce my, all these people, like 2 people to like produce my the music that I made, I didn't make the tracks by myself. And I really need a friend who is like a producer who like is on the same level as me. So if anyone's in like production, you know, of music, and you want to send your stuff, you know, go to my Instagram bio.
Who's on SoundCloud.
Exactly. Hit me up with my business email address. But it's like, I definitely want to do more. I've been watching a lot of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend recently, and while it's cheesy and it's basically a soap opera, and some of the acting is really good and some of the acting is really not, I do really like the show, and I feel very motivated now that I've watched it to like actually make like comedic music. And I did like a Christmas video thing, which is on my YouTube channel, and I really like that. It's like at the top of my list to like do more stuff like that, which is like more outright comedic music, not like sassy, here's my feelings music, because I don't really take myself too seriously, and I feel like even that EP was taking myself too seriously. And I was like, but then also people would tell me that, and they're like, this isn't comedy. And I was like, I know. Okay, I know. I went out and thought that I wanted it to be like a comedy thing, but then I kind of like shifted directions because I wanted to like get some stuff out of my system, which felt really good and was fun to do. But I was like, that's not really like what I want to do. And it's not really like a niche thing for me to like get into. I don't want to be like a singer-songwriter. I love people that are, but like, it's not me. I'd much rather go the comedic route and like make fun of things that I feel like I have a fun lens on. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I want to do. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking now. Ryan.
Well, I got to be honest with the EP. I have beef with that one track, LA. I am not okay with that. She wrote a song dissing Vancouver and just propping up LA. You cannot do that. You make fun of our brunch places. You make fun of the coast. You make fun of the mountains. How dare you?
Hey, but can I tell you? Let me tell you. Speaking of not taking myself seriously, I'm going to give a tiny, tiny summary as to what those lyrics mean. I thought it would be a fun idea to make a song that was like, it's very loaded. It's very loaded. And like, it's one of the most popular ones from the EP, which I think is hilarious because it is so stupid. But it's basically like, it starts off by me talking about like, I'm in this relationship with someone and it didn't work out, and I don't really like I'm like, oh, I need bigger and better things. And like, there's a lot of puns in there too of like what that could be relating to, which is like not like really true. It's just kind of like my imagination was really like amplifying like this idea of I want to write a song about breaking up with someone and then but like I cheated on someone, so like doesn't make me like the singer like a better person at all. And so there's so many like layers to it that like the more that I like listen to it, I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize some of the things that I did, like the puns I accidentally did at the beginning, and I was like I need bigger and better things. I forget what it freaking is, but anyway, I thought it was really funny because I was like, oh shoot, that sounds like you need like a anyway. So I was like, that's kind of cool. I'm gonna keep that in because it's kind of funny. And then so I went more that route. And the chorus is all about like, oh, I love LA and she's so much better than this other person that I was, dating, which implies that it's Vancouver. But it's like, I don't need your rain. I don't need your sadness and your like gloominess. Like I'm going on to like sunshine, But the fact of the matter is like they're the same place. Like Vancouver and LA are so similar, even though one has sunshine and one like doesn't.
I feel like you're trying to justify a
similar.
lot of things right here. You're
No,
like trapping.
I'm not.
You're like,
It's
okay,
so
what can I do?
similar.
What can I say to justify this?
They both are so obsessed with brunch places. They both are so obsessed with like coffee chains, and like they're so obsessed with like the cool like hip life of like, I don't know, a person who's like super woke or whatever. And I just thought that was funny because it's like you literally, but that's like the trend that people have, or the train kind of that people have, the chain that people have when they're like I see these people who are like dating a bunch of people and I'm like, that's the same person as the person you dated before. How is that person any different? That's literally what it is. And it's like, oh, but he's so much nicer. And I'm like, but he also has all the other things you hated about this other guy. So what do you want? Like, where are you going with this? That's literally what that song is. It's like,
I think someone might
screw
need
your
to take
stupid
away your
mountains.
citizenship.
Screw your stupid mountains, your ocean waves. LA has waves and mountains.
LA has hills.
Hills. They have mountains.
Beverly Hills. The hills. Yeah. But you can climb a hill too.
They have mountains. Go to Big Bear. Anyway, it's just it's very loaded. Mm-hmm. I feel weird because I'm like talking about my own song that is really not that magnificent at all. But it was really fun to write those because I started like accidentally writing things in there that I was like, oh wait, that's really funny and I didn't even mean it to be funny, or like I thought like I was just trying to make a rhyme and I was like, wait, that actually makes sense. Like it was really fun to do. But anyway, I know that I insulted a lot of people with that. All my Vancouverite friends. Love you very much.
I had friends text me about that song being like, this is unacceptable.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great. Because I made a whole $10 so far off that album. So
nice. Okay, well, we need to do better. So if you're listening to this, go on TikTok, find Claire's songs, get these songs trending. That's the only way they're going to blow up, is if you get these songs to trend.
Oh boy. Please don't.
Mm-hmm. So how about getting into the acting career? How's that been? What have been the biggest steps for you there?
Well, here's the thing. I kind of had it handed to me from a really young age. I was like 5 and my dad was already doing voice acting and he was like in the writing and producing area too for cartoons. And so I was really dramatic as a child and I loved getting attention. And my brother got this audition for something. He's 2 years older than me, so he would have been like 7 or something, or maybe, no, he would have been like 5 and I was like 3 or 4 and he was like 5 or 6. So he auditioned for something because my dad got an email like, oh, if any of you voice actors have kids, can we just get them to say something really quick for this project? And he was like, okay, because my brother was really good at reading and he was like one of those kids who like could read things like with energy and like it didn't sound like he was reading text from a page. So he like did it and it was really good and I was like, I want to try. So I like tried to like do it and I didn't know how to read at all, but I had like the energy that was needing to be there. So I kind of got into it because I could, and I had a dad who had access to all the things that I needed to do, like a home studio too at that time. So if I had to do auditions from home, I could. And that's how I got My Little Pony too, from doing it from home first. And then also like Dinosaur Train was another cartoon that I'm in still, and that's really interesting that that's still going on. It's an awesome show. I absolutely love it. I don't even think I'd be into dinosaurs as much if I didn't do that show. I learned dinosaurs from A to Z with like all the cool little songs they do, and like it's really cute. It's really cute, and it teaches kids about dinosaurs, and dinosaurs are awesome. So what's not to like? Anyway, your question was how did I get into it? That was how I got into it,
Yeah.
by my dad. So I don't really have the best answer for like someone seeking how to get into something. However, I can relate that to the fact that I don't actually want to do voiceover for my career in the future. I want to do on-screen acting, and I want to do TV shows, movies, films, and comedy is the route that I've chosen to go because I know that I'm good at that. That's not that I'm not good at dramatic acting. I am. But I definitely have like the natural talent in the comedic area more, I would say. So that's kind of where I've decided to start for me in LA. So what I've been doing is taking like improv classes and like at Groundlings and UCB and all these schools and Second City and stuff that are widely acknowledged as like that's where the people who are on SNL go, and that's where the people who are doing the comedic things. That's where they came from. So regardless or not if I get picked up from going to the school, that's not really the point. It's the point to get the training and the experience of working with other people and taking those kind of classes. So I would push on people, if you're interested in acting, it's always fun to take a class, especially in high school. It's a very chill, fun experience. Especially improv classes. Those are very fun. And just good people skills too. But if you really want to go into acting or like voiceover, take a class at a place that is, I want to say established, because the problem is a lot of the time there are small people who will tell you that they're established, and that may be true, but they also might not have the proper knowledge to give you. And I know a lot of voice acting schools do that in Vancouver, because I never took a voice acting class because I hesitate to say I didn't need to, but I didn't need to because I was doing it. And it's not that like, I'm still doing acting now and I'm still taking acting classes. So it's not like I don't need it, but for voiceover, I wasn't interested in like refining my craft and like trying to do a bunch of fun accents. Like I had my little niche of getting roles where I sound younger than I am, because that's my thing for now. And that's what's gotten me like all of my roles pretty much, except for like maybe a few, but that's the minority. So I focused my skills and stuff on other areas that I wanted to focus on, if that makes any sense. But I would encourage people to go join classes and stuff. And if, it floats your boat and you actually want to do that for making money in the future, just be prepared that you're probably gonna have to take a restaurant job as well, but keep doing the classes and moving your way up. Yeah.
And in 10 years, you will be seeing Claire on SNL. I'm looking forward to that. That'd be
in
awesome.
one way or another, whether I'm a writer, a cast member, or a guest, I want to be there.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome to see. So another thing that we have talked about a lot, especially when we were in university together, is religion.
Yes.
Great topic. Everyone talks about it all the time. I don't even know if we're going to have anything new to add to it, because it's always something people are talking about, right?
It's true.
So to begin this part of the conversation, why don't you tell us a little bit about your history with it specifically?
Crap. I got to get better at summaries, man. I don't think I'm a good guest on podcasts. Okay. My history involves the fact that I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I'm not going to explain it to you. The point is, they're basically a cult and not a religion. And my family, like my mom and my dad and their parents separately joined when, like, in their own worlds when they were very young or middle, elementary school aged, whatever, it doesn't matter. They joined the cult. Then they had my parents. And so my parents were born into it, both on their own. And they both came from like very different families and very different like viewpoints. But the main thing about Jehovah's Witnesses that you need to know is that there's like a right and wrong. There isn't really like things aren't really up to like interpretation. It's basically just that's why it's kind of a cult, because it's not like, oh, you can practice the way you want to practice. It's like there's a lot of things. Like you have to go to meetings like 3 times a week, at least when we were going. So I was actually born into it as well, although my parents were thinking of leaving for a while, and probably more so my dad, because he also came from a family that was less so focused on the rules. Like you have to have like your hair like cut a certain way, and like you can't be touching your ears, and people would like be like, oh, those pants are like too tight, and like weird stuff like that shouldn't really matter. Like if you believe in God or not, like who the frick cares if you're wearing pants that are a different color or length or tightness? Anyway, I have no patience for that. So it was very rule based. And the thing that happens in rule-based stuff, and especially combined with like on top of like a religion on top of it, is there is a lot of room for bad stuff to happen within that. So what happened, and the way that my brother and I, when we were younger, ended up leaving, is because my parents decided to leave after there was a pedophile in the church, which is not called a church. I don't know why I said that. It's not called a church. It's called a Kingdom Hall. And there was a brother in the hall. We call everyone your brothers and sisters. And he was a pedophile. In fact, he had a kid with his daughter. So that was also really messed up. And no one did anything about that because he was sorry. So it didn't matter if he, made a kid with his kid and his wife. Anyway, I was really young, so this also information has been given to me. So I can't say like personal experience, but I do remember the day that we left, because I remember I don't know what age I was. I really don't know. But I remember sitting there, and I remember I was aware enough to know that like my mom was over here and my dad was over here. And my mom was like, we gotta go sort of like mentality. And I was like, something's happening. And I'm like, they're pointing at that person. He's dangerous potentially. And there's a lot of other stories they have about that same person too. But my mom really got upset at the fact that we were calling him a brother. So he answered like one of the scriptures or something, and he wanted to comment on it. And they were like, yes, brother so-and-so. And my mom was like, we do not call him brother, because there's another thing in Jehovah's Witnesses that you get disfellowshipped, which basically means that nobody will talk to you. You're allowed to still come to meetings, but you have to sit in the back, and you have to like gain the respect of the elders in the community to be able to come back. And it kind of depends. And you can get disfellowshipped for a bunch of reasons, anywhere from blood transfusions to boxing to yoga, because it's spiritual and too much of the devil, celebrating birthdays, Christmas, Halloween, all that stuff, smoking, sex before marriage, anything along those lines, and a lot more that people might be surprised by. You can go look it up online. I encourage you to look it up, jw.org. They don't have a list on there, I don't think, because that's kind of weird too. But you can also look at a bunch of their videos. They have a really fun section of their website. Sometimes I go on there just to get angry. And it's jw.org, and you click the like the animation videos for kids. Those are really fun. You can kind of see the cult mentality if you watch those videos. I feel like the average person could probably pick up on a lot of the things that they're saying about, gay people, and like what's right and what's wrong and what Jehovah wants you to do. And that's kind of messed up, because you're being told what to do instead of being able to like have doubts every once in a while. And it's not a good environment. So that's my personal experience with religion. That is what I know. That is also heavily what my parents know. And I feel awful for them because they had to go through that. I mean, I didn't go through in my teen years, but I can't even imagine what would happen if I did. I feel like I would either get sucked in and do I'd probably end up going to Bethel, and I'd probably end up being in the film production program and filming, the people on the news channel for the Jehovah's Witnesses. I'd probably end up doing all of the leadership position things I could do as a woman also, because they're heavily they got a lot of bunch of dudes with white hair who are just they have control over a lot of that, which is unfortunate, and sucks. But so I would probably either be in those leadership positions because of just who I am, and that I can kind of get wrapped up into things like university politics too, which there's nothing wrong with, but in this case there kind of would be. Or I would rebel hardcore and I would do everything wrong on the list to get this fellowship so that I would get out. And I can't say for sure which one I would be. I really don't know. But that's my experience with religion. And my parents have had that to the way more extreme extent because they went through that in their teen years. They got married when they were like 19. Hello, I'm almost turning 21. I can't imagine. I think it's a lovely thing, but I can't imagine doing it right now. Like that is kook.
Yeah, I'm with you. I couldn't get married right now. I am nowhere near mature enough to. But yeah, I do actually. I have friends who got married late teens or getting married right now in their early 20s, and I guess like something I thought and thinking is like, that's something I definitely couldn't do. But if they feel like they're mature enough already.
What I have learned also from talking to you, because I don't know if you want to give some of your background too, because this is your podcast, but like us talking about this kind of stuff is really interesting because I've learned over like the past couple of years that like it's just because someone doesn't necessarily believe the exact same thing that you do, as long as they're not hurting anyone, which is the main thing, you can just leave them. You can change the channel on, a part of their life, or you can encourage talking about it more and trying to understand maybe why they think what they think, or kind of just, I don't know. I feel like more people just need to accept the fact that like there are people that are different than them. Who gives a rat's butthole? Like,
thanks for saying butthole and censoring it.
You're welcome. Because it's just like, I get frustrated sometimes because I'm like, so what? If they're not hurting somebody, or if they're not being prejudiced, or using a part of, or using what they believe in as like a thing to like fight something else, or like to get rid of something else. As long as that's not happening, which by the way, I feel like is a case by case basis, then it should be fine. Who cares if somebody, when they're going to a football match, is going to pray before? Why do people audibly sigh about that? Great. Maybe I'm not going to do that because I don't think that that's going to help me play a better game. But if someone does, I don't think there's any harm in that. And I actually think that a lot of like Christians and people that kind of like give something away to God, which is what I've like heard a lot of. And I also know that I'm not like super educated on like the Christian ways. Like I've been trying to understand that a lot more because I just have more people that are Christians that I know than like Muslims or Buddhists or anything, so I'm kind of more focused on that now. But just like their whole thing is like forgiveness and accepting, right? Which I think is lovely. And I know that not everybody does that also, which is unfortunate. But like that's just like I'm upset that people have like bad reputations, like a certain like the police have a bad reputation and blah blah blah. And that doesn't mean that you get rid of all of it. I don't think that's not the right answer.
Yeah. And I guess like to talk a little bit about my backstory is like I am a Christian. I grew up in a household that was kind of mixed faith where my mom's a Christian, but my dad wasn't. And kind of throughout my life trying to figure out which side I was leaning more towards. And throughout my about teenage years, I've decided to stick on the path of Christianity just because of my own research I've done, my own experiences I've had throughout my life, and just some of the connections I've made and so on. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like people look at actions taken by other people and they're like, this is a whole, this is an issue with their religion. This is an issue with what they preach. And some of it, there is some terrible preachings, false preachings, but a lot of it,
there's power involved in that too, which is also unfortunate and really frustrating to see. And especially for the people that are like, there's like super legalistic Christians, and like I don't think there's anybody that hates those people more than like the basic like Christians who are like, bro, you're ruining this for us. I'm like, but that's how I feel about women too, who are like, I'm a feminist and like, screw men. And I'm like, whoa, that's not what it's about, honey. Like, you're not like, now you're trying to be like superior to men, because that's not really what it's about. And that's why I feel like things get wrapped up a lot in like what a word is or something, or like everybody believes this if you're this. And it's like, if you're a woman, then you're a feminist. And I'm like, okay, well, that's true. But also the word feminist, when people hear it, is not something that people respond well to, because unfortunately there's really loud people that are feminists and they keep saying that they're feminists, and it kind of ruins that for the people who are like myself, who are like, yes, I want equality, and yes, I, like there's some bad stuff that has happened to women and myself included, but that doesn't mean I go around, chanting like F men and like all that stuff, like in a bad way, and it's like, it gets frustrating to watch that kind of stuff happen, especially when you identify, or you literally can't help but not identify as something. So
it's always the loudest, it's always the people who are the most polarized that always get the most attention. It's just unfortunate that it's always the people who are the worst, the people who are the loudest, that kind of set a standard for everyone. And
I also feel like and that's kind of frustrating if I can assume for people like you and me who are vocal people. And it's like, just because there's something that's happening in the world, or there's something that is like unjust, or something happened that was, disgusting or whatever, and it has to do with like a marginalized group, or even just a group of people that, like a group of people that identify as the same thing, religion, gender, sexuality, race, whatever. Or, people that, I was going to use a dumb example. I was like, people that wear hats. Anyway, I feel like that's not a thing. But it kind of ruins like the really, really loud people who are super far left and super far right, if I can use that as an example on like any issue, ruins it for the people who are placed somewhere around the middle, who are like, okay, but that's not right. It's like, I understand your pain, I understand your suffering, I understand what you're going through, or I don't understand, but I understand that I don't understand. And then it's like, but I don't, you're allowed to be angry, and I have been angry, but I'm also sad. And when I see people that are angry acting out and being angry, that makes me angry. And then it makes me sad, because I'm like, that's not the way to do it. And this is, what I talked about before too, before the podcast started. But like, being the bigger person is a really tough thing to do. But I feel like it's worth it. I feel like that's where to go, no matter what the issue is, or what has happened, to you or someone else that you know.
Yeah. And something I'd like to touch on is it is okay to, if you want, criticize religion if you're criticizing it on the basis of the teachings. But if you're only looking at the actions of people and you don't see the actions of the people reflected in the teachings, then you should think about criticizing the people and not the religion. Like, for example, I listen to people who criticize Christianity. I'm fine with that. If they don't agree with some of the things, it's okay. That's their opinion, and everything. And they are educated and they know what they're criticizing. So that's totally welcome. But if you're looking at a group of people, the actions they perform, and be like, that's the basis of, that's their religion. All people are the same who follow their same religion. Like, that's just not really accurate at all. I mean, look at stuff like the Westboro Baptist Church. Terrible things. Like, wow, that is just a lot of hate in such a small group of people, and it's horrible, all the things they preach. And a lot of it, they skew, they take from the Bible, but it's not really taking from the Bible. But because of them, a lot of people are like, that's all Christianity right there. That's all the same.
Exactly. And that's also what Jehovah's Witnesses do a superb job of doing, is it's not that there are not nice people that are in the Jehovah's Witness world, because there are, and I've met them. But there are things that are so deep rooted, much higher than the people that are following, that it starts getting messy. And I think because of certain rules in place, like especially with like JWs, because that's what I can like speak on, in their system, like their hierarchy system, there is a lot of sexism, which is really frustrating. But I'm also like, okay, but the people that decide to be in this, like, it's your choice. Like, people keep forgetting that they have a choice to leave, even if it's really hard. And I feel like that's what my parents did, and I commend them on that. And I think that is so brave and awesome. And I'm so grateful because I know that I have a better life than what I could have, gotten into. I don't know, maybe I would start taking drugs and alcohol, like hardcore. I keep thinking I'm gonna like end up on the street and like, be disowned, and like, and I'm thankful for like the fact that I'm alive, and the fact that I'm healthy, and the fact that I have access because of them to, like a healthcare system and a place. I don't know, while I may not agree with everything that a certain person says, whether they're family or friends, they're still a part of my life. And I don't just flip them off and move on because they don't agree with me. I see it through. And I feel like what a lovely freaking part of or place to be in when you can have a conversation with someone that you totally disagree, but you know where each other are coming from, and you're like, well, I'm glad that works for you, and I'm glad the other thing works for you or doesn't work for you or whatever, and you can still be invited to their birthday party, like that is a lovely thing. And I feel like if more people would have that, I don't know, isn't that awesome? Like, do people like being angry? I don't.
I think some people do. And it's like funny you talk about that. When people disagree with me, I'm fine with it. I don't usually get upset. But what's more like, which kind of gets me close to upset, is when there's people who agree with me, but will basically just shame people who don't agree with them at all, not try to empathize with them, being like, I'm right. Even if we agree on all these other things, but you don't agree with me on this one thing, you're not a friend. You can never be my friend. And that's something that I guess that's more unsettling to me.
And it sucks.
Yeah. And it's just hard because, in the end, people have their reasons for disagreeing. People have the reasons for coming to their different opinions, right? But I think something we have to learn is the likelihood of it being because of ill intent is pretty low, right? So you have to have these conversations to find out why people believe what they believe.
I also just wish people would be more accepting of differences, which I feel like we're getting into. Like, I found that a lot with people that are close to my age. And it's nothing against like the older generations, but I feel like there's a part of that where the acceptance doesn't really matter to them because they have their friends, they have the people, their couples that they go on their Scrabble dates with. And that was a really old reference. I'm not ageist at all. I actually love Scrabble. It's my jam. But like, they have their friends, they have their groups. They're not discovering new things as much as younger people are, because that always happens. And I feel like we have to remind ourselves there are so many cool people out there. I love people. I'm a people person. Like, my career calls for it. My personality calls for it. I love talking to people. I love understanding why they believe things that they believe, or why they do things that they do, why they have hobbies that I don't have. And I'm like, now, why are you interested in this? Because I'm not interested in it. And a lot of it has to do with how you're raised and how the like environments that you've grown up in. And that's why I feel like travel is so important. Man, I would love to have a travel show, side note. But also, I would love to share. And one of my favorite series is the Conan O'Brien travel series. Because here, is this freaking redheaded, pale butt dude who's tall and skinny and awkward and funny, and he has a good heart. And while he may be like an older dude, it gets me really frustrated when people are like, oh, he's this way because he's like from this generation, or he's this way because he's white, or, you know, he's privileged and he has a TV show. And I'm like, don't you see him going to Ghana with people that are from Ghana, trying to learn an experience that he has never been in contact with? Because why would he be? And he has money, and he's doing that to show people what they're dealing with in their country. And holy crap, thank gosh we don't have it to that extent, you know? And I just wish people would be also more grateful for the stuff that they have. And I see people getting so angry like all the time. And I'm like, I'm so glad that I'm not an angry person. I'm glad that I have, because I feel the most alive and the most happy when you can have a conversation where there's differences and you don't agree with something, but you still love that person, you know? Like, and I'm like, I feel like you are the perfect example of that friend too, because I'm like, while we may have grown up relatively in the same city, like, you're a dude, I'm a woman, you're a Christian, I'm not. I have a spiritual like thing that I can't really explain sometimes to people, where they're like, okay, you sound insane, and I get that. And I always preface, I'm like, this is gonna sound a little woo-woo, but blah blah blah. But like, there are so many cool people if you open your freaking eyeballs to things that have not happened to you and experiences that you are like, I have no idea what you're talking about, why do I care, sort of mentality. And you don't have to care so much to the extent, but it's like, I don't know, if you have a friend who's super into science, and I'm not really into science, but like when they're like, oh, like the science thing is happening, isn't this so cool? And I'm like, I don't follow the science channels, tell me more. You know, why can't I share in that excitement? And like, that stuff is cool, because it is. And there's a lot of people that specialize and enjoy a lot of different things. There's a lot of people that don't give a crap about actors. And I get a little sad when they're like, oh, it's award season, you know, F you, who cares? You just take your rich jets and go fly elsewhere. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that if I'm in that position. I'm a nice person. I swear. I'm generous. I will give my money to people who don't have it as easily. And I want to like change, like, I want to change a lot of things, and I want to do that so fast, and I wish that it could happen in a snap, but it can't. And that is the most frustrated I get, is like, how come I'm not famous yet so that I can do cool stuff for other people? Like, that's literally what I want to do with my life. I want to give my money and cool experiences to family and friends who wouldn't get it. I just think it's awesome. I love people. People get on my nerves, but I love people.
Love your tangents that you go off of. They're hilarious. They're great.
I'm riled up. I had a lot of coffee. The guy that gave me this coffee was so cool. He was like, I was like, bro. He's like, dude, I'm really worried. I got this ice pack out here, but like, I'm really worried about like my farmer's tan. I was like, yeah, you don't want to mess up those tats. And he's like, yo, I'm from Oregon. These tats are like from my family home where we like went camping. We had like this whole conversation. And the lady who was doing the other side of like drive-through traffic was like, Carl, can you like speed it up? And he's like, yeah, totally. He's like, yo, can I interest you in a lemon loaf? And I was like, yes, you can. And I'm just like, it made me like smile. Like, I couldn't stop, because I was like, frick, I love people. They're so cool.
Those kinds of interactions are the ones we need more, honestly. The small ones where there's just a stranger, and then all of a sudden you'll just be like talking with each other, crack a joke. Like,
isn't it fun?
I love doing stuff like that. Like, I remember a couple days ago, me and another friend of mine, we dressed up in like full quarantine outfits. We had the full suits on and masks, and we were at the McDonald's drive-thru, and we were just chatting with this lady who loved the outfits while we were getting our ice cream. And it was great, because just stuff like that. It's like, you know, we don't know each other, but we both know we're both humans. We both know, like, this is funny.
Those people who enjoy that, and like, who are just, they're working, and you're grateful for them to be working too, is like, I mean, they deserve more than a $3
Mhm.
tip. I mean, it's
Yeah.
awesome. Also, people have been tipping a lot because of COVID right now, especially to fast food workers, which I think is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And like most, there are some fast food workers that are like like the stereotypical fast food workers, like the stoner who's like, whatever, I don't care about life. And I've run into those, but I've
Yeah.
also run into guys who like gave me the coffee today who are just like, and like a couple days
Super
ago in
happy.
Starbucks,
Yeah.
they just like, they made me laugh because I was like, oh my gosh, I love this dude. And he's like, can I get you anything else, honey? Like anything else today? And I was like, I kind of want to, but I'm like, no, I don't need anything else. But love you. Have a great day. He's like, okay,
Mhm.
sugar. Pull up to the next window. And I was just like, that kind of energy is what we need.
Yeah.
Like humans love that stuff. And I try and be that. I try and
Mhm.
be the light in someone's day, or like make a fun joke and like make people entertained. Like
Mhm.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the greatest examples of stuff like that was when we were living in res at the dining hall. I mean, some of my favorite moments in the dining hall is when the lady's just looking around. She's just like, all right, I'll give you 2 extra chicken fingers. Here you go. I'm like, yes, thank you. You are
I
the best.
know.
Or like they just crack a joke with you. Like, for example, I'm a picky eater. So if I'm like saying, I don't want sour cream, they're just like looking at me. They're just like giving me the death stare, like, what is wrong
Dude,
with you? And I'm like, I don't
I
know, but it's
know.
just fun stuff. And I love how they'll crack a joke with you or act kind of like disappointed in you. And it's so
I
fun.
know. They are lovely people. And
Mhm.
I'm sad for the people that are kind of perpetually sad or just kind of boring. Cause I'm
Mhm.
like, that's unfortunate. You're missing out on this huge part of life. And it could be because you're just an introvert and like, no hate. But like, I feel like people are missing out on the part of like human interaction where you can make fun of things. Like people are really losing the fact that like jokes are fun. And I'm like, dude, I was made fun of for being a vegan, which I'm not anymore, but I was made fun of for being a vegan at the same Lebanese place all the time because they had like the vegan food. And he made it too. And he was like, so when are you gonna try meat again? And I was like, brah, no, don't mess with me here. And he's like, I got some chicken in the back, I can give it to you. And he's like, by the way, there's eggs in that sauce. And I was like, stop it. Like, and I was like, you have a great day. And like calling people by their names, that's
Mhm.
something that I feel like is the tiniest change I've made that has made people like give such a good response back. Is like you'll be talking to someone at a movie theater or something. I mean, not anytime recently, but like you'll be
Yeah.
talking to someone at a movie theater and you're like, thanks so much, Carl, you have a great day. And they're like, oh, why did I use Carl twice? I really don't know anyone by the name of Carl. But anyway,
Carl.
we're both Carl.
Yeah.
Um,
Carls are just
Carl,
nice
the
people in
llama,
general. Yeah.
the llama. But anyway.
Carl. Yeah.
Kindness goes a long way. I know it's a cliche quote, but I freaking think it's dope. And I
Mhm.
love making it like, and also I can get on people's nerves too. And I get that because I'm kind of annoying, but at least I made like an annoying impression or like a fun or like a great impression rather than no impression at all. I feel like
Mhm.
that is like, that like freaks me out. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I like attention, but I
Mhm.
feel like it kind of goes a long way. And I think that, talking to people, especially during now when like people are lacking human interaction, when you
Yeah.
can, you make the most of it. And it makes people's days. And that's all I've ever wanted to do. But I want to
Mhm.
do it on a bigger scale and like make movies that people will like play like every year on their birthday because it's like their movie. I don't know. I like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Entertainment's great. I love
Yeah.
entertainment. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. There's no bad things that have ever happened in entertainment. Change my mind. They're happening. But anyway.
I kind of love how you started off this podcast like, you know what, guys, we disagree on some stuff. We're just going to get into it. And really, we haven't really talked about anything we disagreed on. We
No.
both are aware we have different conclusions on our own personal religious
Yeah.
beliefs, but we didn't really talk about
We didn't dive
anything
into it
we
at all.
disagree
But
on at all. It's so funny.
it's, I don't know. I feel like I also like, I'm an experienced person. I
Yeah.
like checking things off of a bucket list,
Hmm.
whether they're like scary, like roller coasters, or flying, which I've now done like 10 times,
But you
almost 10
still
times.
didn't go on the elevator with me.
No, but
You
I've already been on it
hypocrite.
and I
You
checked it off my
hypocrite.
list and I
You
hated it.
hypocrite.
So I didn't do it again because it freaked me out. But I think that pushing yourself in the boundaries of what makes you uncomfortable, I have always sought out uncomfortable things. I love
Seek
uncomfortable people.
discomfort.
I know. Merch link in the description. But it's like things that are uncomfortable that you don't have experience in, or that like other, like you're like, oh, this is a new world. Time to dive in. Like, this is why I also think documentaries are so cool, because you can get a little taste of that without like experiencing it necessarily firsthand. You don't have to travel to Iraq to know what's going on anymore. That's what's cool about living in the age that we're living in. That you can have like dope footage that is certified and, you know, not like propaganda footage, if you will, like with the fact that we're living in North America. There is propaganda still, but like it's just cool, you know. It's cool to like have that like access to that kind of information. And sometimes it gets messy and you can't find out super quickly that stuff, because you're like, wait, but I saw one person posted this and then one person posted this, and I'm like, ooh, which one should I trust? Like, I don't, like, that can get difficult sometimes. But then I think you have to go back to like, what do you ultimately think is like, you know, right and wrong, which is funny because like humans created right and wrong, and then we'll like everyone has their own definition of what's right and wrong depending on
There's
whatever
where we
talking
disagree.
About. You don't think so?
I mean, I believe that we have an inherent moral compass, and I believe that was given to us by God, and I don't think it's a creation in a sense of like humans created. But of course, yeah, I understand where people don't agree with that, of course. But yeah, I believe like the reason like everyone knows, hey, cutting a line, that's bad. I think like stuff like that is like we all have that inside of us because of a reason, and I think that reason is because it was put there.
Okay, well that makes sense. I mean, I may not like go around my daily life thinking that like, because this is the thing too, there have been so much, I think, while if there was a God who created people like, and or the first, you know, people. Wait, hold on. Side note, I watched this thing on evolution the other day and it was really neat, but there was also a part of me that was like, there's no way. Like evolution, I'm not like saying evolution didn't happen. It did. Like, I get it. I get the science of it. I understand it. But there's also a part of me, like a tiny, tiny part of me that's like, okay, but how miraculously did that meteor with a little bit of life on it land and, you know, start forming up at the bottom of the ocean with those weird creatures and the weird thing with the tusks? Like, how did that meteor magically come? Because we haven't found, like, how far did that meteor have to come? Where did it come from? These things we don't have answers to. And I understand that the things we don't have answers to is when a lot of people turn to like a god or something, like whatever they think that is. And I feel like there is a part of me, I don't know, there's a part of me that is very uncomfortable, probably because of the JW stuff, but like there's a part of me that's like uncomfortable with a lot of the terminology, which I know I've had, you know, things that I'm uncomfortable with terminology in the past, and then I've, you know, like come through the other side. I'm trying to think of an example for that. It doesn't have to do with religion, but like I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like I think things that are uncomfortable are I pay attention to them a lot. I'm like creepy videos. Like I watch creepy videos and I'm like, oh, something's off here. Like, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. Horror movies do the same thing. Like there's also one time that I'm pretty sure I saw a ghost, but I really don't know for sure. And like, that stuff freaks me out, makes me like on edge, but I don't chalk it up all the time to like, oh, well, it has to be there because of, like, sometimes there are not answers for things. And I'm like, how, like, you trail back things that have happened in your life. And I'm like, I would have never met this person if this didn't happen. And if that didn't happen, I would have never blah, 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 blah. So I understand when people are like the God's will thing, and they're like, or God's plan, and they're like, that's God's plan for me, and people can let things go easier.
God's plan.
But I'm like, that's interesting, because I almost wish that I could let things go easier. And I'm kind of jealous that some people can do that, and I feel like, well, I have the capability to do that, but I think too much. Not too much, but like I kind of think in a circle a lot of the time, and I'm like, but if that was meant to happen, like I can let things go if I'm like, I guess this was meant to happen. But I also don't at the same time believe in fate. Like, I don't think everything is like, this is the way that it goes. Hi. That this is the way that it goes. And like, this is like 100% like supposed to happen and blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't know if I'm fully on board with that. But at the same time, I'm also like, there are some things that I can't really explain. And I'm like, I get why people turn to a bigger creator or a bigger thing to explain a lot of that. I may not agree with the fact that, I don't know. I'm also like, I'm kind of like on edge with like following someone. I feel like the best definition for me would be agnostic.
Yeah.
Because I am spiritual. Like, I have a spiritual side, and also some of it, people like, I love tarot cards. I don't think that they like create everything that has ever happened, and I think there's a lot of coincidences with them. But like, tarot cards are just fun. I don't know. I like them. I think they're cool.
I understand why people like tarot cards. It's kind of just, I think people enjoy kind of like, in a sense, thinking about what their future might hold.
Yes, and that's the same thing with all of the like the signs and stuff, like
astrology. And
sure, you can tell me that I'm a Cancer, and oh wow, you figured out that I'm a Cancer. I've had some weird experiences where people have just guessed that, and I haven't even like talked to them, and it's kind of weird. And I'm like, please tell me more about who you are as a person, because you're freaking me out right now. And how do you know that? Or did you just guess that? Do some people just have really, really good intuition? I feel like that is true. Just like there's some people that are really, really smart, and there are some people that are really, really, really talented. There are some people that have really, really, really good intuition. And I feel like I've met a lot of those people, and they freak me out. But I also love them, because those are the people who give me weird channeling, like my past and stuff, or not my past, but like channeling like my future, and like answering to like angels. And I'm like, there's a whole lot that I don't know, and I'm okay with that. I am okay with the fact that I don't have answers for everything. And a lot of people aren't, and a lot of people think they have the right answer, but I don't think I'm like some superhuman who gets to decide that I suddenly have the answer. I don't know. So I'm on the fence with a lot of that kind of stuff, because I'm like, who am I to say blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But there are some people, anyway, I'm going to end it there. Because,
I mean, I think that's a good way to kind of end this, like just being aware, like we're never going to have the answers for everything, whether you're religious or not. Like I know religious people who are like, you know what, I gotta be honest, I don't know this because it hasn't been revealed to me or any of us, right? Like we're not going to know everything. And I think there's a little bit of comfort when you've come to that realization, like, you know what, I'm never going to really know.
Yeah, and there's a difference between being skeptical or dowdy, as opposed to like actually being like fully like closed-minded, or like under the assumption that it's like, I'm an open-minded person, and it's like, yeah, but you're really not. Like, if anyway, back to the fact that I'm an experienced person, I do seek discomfort. I've tried to do that a lot more, because I think it brings out interesting parts in me that I have not yet fully developed. I've been trying to tackle mentally why I have fears, like what those fears come from. I really want to read a book on like why people have fears, because I'd like to get over some of mine that I think are stupid, like the dark. I would love to not be afraid of the dark. I think that'd be a lovely thing. It'd make my life a lot easier, and I could feel, and I'm like, this is the thing though, why do I also feel like with some groups of people that I'm with and some friends, why do I suddenly feel like this kind of person who I'm like, I will take on the bear. We will be safe and fine under me and my wimpy arms. But then when I'm with other people, I'm like, I'm scared. Hold me. Like, is that, like, I want to read books about that stuff. Like that.
Yeah.
I want
to psychoanalyze yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big time. And then I want to write a movie about it. But the other thing I was going to say is that because I'm an experienced person, and because I always strive to be more open-minded than I think that I maybe am, and sometimes I can get like guilt trapped into that too. So I have to find my balance there. But something I've always wanted to do is go to each individual like church. Like because I was a Jehovah's Witness, I also thought about doing this. What if I did a show about like undercover witness stuff? And if nobody knew, like I could change my name. And then I was like, but that's kind of like messed up. But then at the same time, I was like, but I could do that. And I could go like what I'm learning as like a ex-Jehovah's Witness in a new Jehovah. I thought about that before as like a show idea. I thought that was cool. But then I kind of dropped it. And I was like, but you know what would be cool is as long as I'm not in danger, I would like to go try. And I would also like to do this under the safety of probably like a show concept because that's how my brain works. The creative side cannot take away from like the intellectual side of me or like the excited, you know, parts of me that want to experience things. I like always want to film it because I'm like, I want to show people. But I want to go to each, like all the different churches besides just going around the world because that would be fun.
Yeah.
I want to literally like go to every single church and like temple and like whatever the heck other people call it, Kingdom Hall. Like I want to go to all that stuff and just like see what they're telling people. And I know that if I go to one, that's like not the voice for all of them. But I also want to go to mega church really badly. I feel like it would be fun. Like some of them are fun, but then also some of them are kind of like kooky. Yeah. And I don't know. I kind of want to like do both. But anyway, I just like, I don't know. I kind of want to do that. I don't know how really, but like, I don't know. I'm down. I feel like I'm down.
You're going to come to my church. I'm going to be like, hey, Claire, and blow your cover. Oh, how's it going?
No, you don't have to blow my cover. I don't freaking care. Let's start vlogging about my experience of going to all these different things and like what I've learned. But I don't know. I feel like that could be fun. And I also like stirring things up. And I like asking people like difficult questions.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's also a part of me that's like, that's mean. Like, don't do that. Like, these poor people who are just, like, having a fun time. So I would rather ask questions of, like, what does this mean to you? Like, not like, so it says in, you know, Corinthians chapter whatever versus this and that. Like, why don't you take this more literally? Like, I'm not, like, that kind of, like, stir-up person. But I am the kind of person who's, like, I just want to, like, see things for myself. That's really what it's about. Yeah. And I will go to your church. Let's freaking go, man.
Bet. All right. Well, we'll have to do that when you come back to Vancouver sometime. When this is not happening.
The travel bans are lifted.
Yeah, and you're not coming with the intent of making fun of the city again.
I love Vancouver. It is my home. It is my heart.
Well,
dude, I don't know. We talk for like 2 hours? What's wrong with us?
We've talked for about an hour 15, so I think this is going to be where we're going to have to end the podcast. But Claire, this is a great conversation. I loved it. If people are interested in supporting your content, your creative side, where can they find you online?
All of the socials.
All the socials.
I would start probably by going either to my YouTube or my Instagram because I think that's where I have all the rest of the links. You can search up my name on Twitter. I'm verified. It'll come up.
There you go.
That was the most bird-like thing I could have ever said. Anyway, but yeah, on YouTube, whatever search up my name on YouTube. You can find my channel. I have a little jumping icon for now. And all my links are, I don't know, you can click like my most recent video and all the social things are in there. Basically, if you're curious if I'm on a social, I probably am. And you can just search up my name and I'll probably come up, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if this is YouTube, then I'll try and make sure I put all the appropriate links in the description.
Oh, man.
Other than that,
yeah.
Claire, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. It's always great talking to you. Hopefully this works out well. We can have you on again sometime.
Hopefully we can stay friends.
Hopefully, if you release another diss track about Vancouver, I don't know. But thank you again. Thank you all for watching and listening. And see you guys again on the next episode. Bye.